By now you've heard all about the daring mission to rescue the U.S. airmen downed in Iran, but nobody is talking about the most important part of the story. Not the operation, not the strategy, not even the fact that an American soldier went down in one of the most hostile foreign territories and we brought him home. The most important part of this entire mission is that they knew it was him because of what he said on the radio. God is good. And here's what makes the story even more unbelievable. He went down on Good Friday and he was rescued on Easter. Now, people will call that irony, but in this story, that's not irony. That's the point. Because this isn't just a military story. It's a story about faith under pressure in the darkest possible moment and what happens when that faith is real. So let's rewind. An American soldier is isolated, enemy territory, Iran, no margin for error, no guarantee he's coming home. Communications are compromised. The Iranians are listening, maybe responding, which means any voice over that radio could be a trap, could be a decoy, could be someone trying to lure U.S. forces into the wrong place. So when that signal comes through, this is not some heroic movie moment. This is life and death. You don't assume, you don't hope, you verify. Because if you get it wrong, people die. And according to those involved in the operation, what made them confident, what made them sure, was something deeply personal. They essentially said, that's something he would say. God is good. Not a code word, not a pre-planned signal, not something tactical. In fact, that's what made it so powerful. It was unusual. It wasn't standard military language. It wasn't something you'd expect in that moment. But it was him. It was specific enough, personal enough, authentic enough that they knew, that's our guy. Think about that. In a situation where the enemy could fake your voice, fake your location, fake your words, they couldn't fake your faith. Because real faith leaves a pattern. It leaves a trail. It becomes part of how you speak, how you think, how you react under pressure. And in that moment, his faith became the one thing the enemy could not replicate. We spent a lot of time today talking about identity. We tell people to build it around their job, their success, their following, their opinions. But all of those things disappear when things go wrong. This story is a reminder. The real identity, your real identity, is what comes out when everything else is stripped away. That soldier didn't have time to think. He didn't sit there crafting the perfect response. What came out of him was what he already knew. God is good. And the people who knew him didn't hesitate because they had heard it before, because it was consistent, because it was real. And here's the part nobody is saying out loud, but everyone should be thinking, that may have saved his life. Not metaphorically, literally. Because if he says something generic, something anyone could say, maybe they hesitate, maybe they question it, maybe they delay. And in a rescue operation like that, seconds matter, clarity matters. And in that moment, clarity came from 3 words rooted in faith. Now go back to the timeline. He goes down on Good Friday, the day of sacrifice, the day of suffering, the day that looks like defeat. And he's rescued on Easter, the day of redemption, the day of resurrection, the day that proves the story isn't over. That's not just poetic, that's a reminder. Because in his darkest moment, in enemy territory, isolated and vulnerable, what came out of him? Not despair, not panic, faith. God is good. In between Easter and Good Friday, he's coming home. That's not irony. That's what faith looks like when it's real. It doesn't disappear in the dark, it defines you in it. We spend so much time today trying to engineer strength. We chase it in the gym. We chase it online. We chase it through status and success. But real strength isn't what you project. It's what remains when everything else is stripped away. And what remained for that soldier was his faith. Not fear, not confusion, not performance, faith. And it was so deeply ingrained in who he was that it became recognizable, identifiable, unmistakable. Let me say that again. His faith became his identifier. Not his name, not his password, not a code. His faith. And I think that should challenge all of us because it raises a simple question. If you were in that situation, what would come out of you? What phrase? What instinct? What reflex? Would the people who know you best hear it and say, that's him? That's her, no doubt. Because for a lot of people today, I'm not sure there is one. We've built identities that are inconsistent, situational, performative. We say one thing here and another thing there. We believe something on Sunday and forget it by Monday. But this soldier, he was the same person on that radio as he was every other day in his life. And that consistency, that authenticity, that rootedness in God cut through the fog of war and brought him home. So yes, this was one of the most daring, complex rescue missions we've ever seen in military history. Yes, the bravery deserves recognition, but the most powerful part of this story is that in the middle of chaos, in the middle of danger, in the middle of enemy territory, a man's identity in God spoke louder than everything else. God is good, and that was enough. That should be the goal. Not perfect faith, not loud faith, not performative faith, consistent faith. The kind that becomes part of who you are, the kind that people recognize without explanation, the kind that when everything else is uncertain, remains undeniable. Because one day, in ways you can't predict, that identity might not just define your life, it might save it.
Hey, we the people like Garcia, so that's no excuse.